Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. I am Ben from Make Studios, and today we are going to go over how to make a simple JavaScript server. This is part one of a two-part series for full stack development, basically connecting a web server to a front-end React app so that way it can display information from a database just like this. This is a sample database from a project I'm doing involving a Sphero rover and just has the battery, the heading, and the current ambient light that it's sensing. And so let's begin. The first thing you're going to want to do is initialize a node package.json, basically a way to have all of your dependencies. So what we are going to do is you're going to type down here in the terminal npm init. It has some stuff that it wants you to fill out. You can just skip all that because this is just a personal project. Congratulations, you have it. Now, the first thing we are going to want to do is we're going to install our dependencies. So to do that, you do npm install. The first one we want is Express, which basically handles all of our routing whenever someone sends a GET request to a web page. So whenever someone goes to the web page, this determines what we do with that information. The next one we want is cores, which will allow us to connect our React app to our web server. Otherwise, without cores, nothing would happen. It would just fall apart. Nothing would display. It would be pretty pointless. And then the next one we want is mysql. Basically, how to connect to the database from our server. So you do that. And once that's done, you can begin. I already have a file here called simpleserver.js, which is where we are going to be doing all of our coding. So the first thing you want to do is actually use the library, create a way to use the libraries that we just installed. So the first one is we're going to do express, and you do that by doing make a variable, say it requires it, and you do the name of the package. All right, now we want to create an instance of this express framework so that way we can actually do what we need to do. Pretty simple. Const app equals express. It is seriously that easy. And then after that, we want to use our cores library. So just like we did with express, const cores equals require cores. Again, this is needed because otherwise we wouldn't be able to access our server from the React app. And now we tell our Express app to use cores. Pretty simple. Basically all this is doing is telling it, hey, while you're using Express, use cores so that way it's available to outside programs. And then now we want to create a way to access our database. So const mysql equals require mysql. Pretty simple. And now for the next part, we want to create the connection to the database. This is pretty straightforward, so define what your connection is going to look like. In this case, we're going to call it a con. You can name it whatever you want. And then you do mysql dot create connection. Now we are going to define what this connection looks like. Host. We are going to use localhost, just so that way it's right on our own computer, it's on our own system. Our user, I'm using root. If you have a different one set up for your database, you put that here. Oops. And then password, I'm using a password. Don't tell anyone, it's secret. It's password. In real life, definitely, oh, looks like I forgot a comma. In real life, definitely use a better password, but for an individual project, unless you're wanted by the NSA, you're fine. Database, the name of the database we will be using, in this case, mine is called Sparky, for the name of the robot I'm doing. You can find the source code to that robot down on the GitHub. I'll post that in the link below. And there you have it. We have defined what our connection will look like. And now let's actually connect. Connect function. Let's do some basic error handling. Now for where the magic happens. This is where we'll be using our app instance. We'll be using the function from Express called get, and now we define the path. Let's say on our website we want to access, when we go to there, let's make this a little bit clearer. Now this is basically used, so you have your local host, you have your port, which we will define below. We'll use port 4000. If you do this, this is the path part we're putting right here. So whenever someone tries to access stats, we're defining what will actually happen there. Pretty straightforward. So now let's type this out. All right, for this part, we are going to be accessing our database. So to do that, we use the structured query language. Use select to tell it you're selecting something from the database. You hit star for all from, and then you pass in the table you want. Since we're already connected to the Sparky database, we're just accessing the stats table. And then now let's do some additional error handling. All right, now that we have that created, let's go here. And now let's define what port we'll be listening on. We are doing 4000 for this case. And then you just do app.listen, tell it the port to listen on. And then just for some messages so that we know what's going on. Alrighty, we are set. And now when you do node simple server, alrighty, now that we have it listening on our port, we can go over to our web browser. You can type in localhost 4000 and then the path that we defined, and then boom, there you have it. Everything you could want. And to expand on this, if we go back over here, let's add another get request handle. Alrighty, I think that about does it. So now let's save. Let's stop our server, restart, go over here, and then you can do get, and then the question mark here lets it know, hey, you are making a query. And then cell equals battery. You type that in, it'll receive that particular cell from our database. As you can see, rec.query, it'll do that. It'll define this cell that we do here. So cell equals battery. We decompose it, we store it, and then we pass it along. And it's that simple. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, let me know. If you didn't, let me know why so I can get better. And part 2 should be coming up soon. Thanks.